Okay.
Recording
Okay.
in progress.
Okay. Hello. Okay. Hi, my name is Michelle Cowan, and books have always been an important part of my life. When I taught many years ago, I moved here in 1965. In 1967, I started teaching, and literature. I taught fourth grade, but literature was always a big part of the curriculum in my classes. In 1980, I'll fast forward, in 1982, I started a book club. Nobody in those days belonged to a book club. It took me a long time to recruit 5 people to join my book club. And we had that book club for over 20 years when at that time it kind of broke up. When I moved to Hollywood in 1992 or 3, I looked around and there was no local library. I would go to the downtown library, but it wasn't quite what I was used to. And the day that this library opened, I was at the door. I met Miriam Cowlett, and she told me she had a short story book club. And I said, I'm in. Oh, and it was at night because I was still working. I joined that book club, and I was in that book club until I moved. And then I was retiring, and I said, you know, what am I going to do with my life now that I'm retiring? I had worked all my life. And I started looking for what to do. And one night I came over here and I was in the book, in a book discussion, or I think I was in one of the other programs that you have. And someone mentioned the Friends, but very, you know, it was just mentioned very casually. And I said, oh, you know what? That sounds like something for me. And I gave in my $10 check, and I waited and nobody cashed the check. And I waited about a month, and I finally came to the library and I said, you know, I gave in $10 for the Friends group and nobody cashed my check. She said, well, it's a very small group and there's nobody who really goes to the bank more than once a month. I don't know if you remember that. Anyhow, so I said, well, you know, I'd like you to cash the check. So they finally cashed the check. Next thing I know, Julie and Hannah call me and say, I understand you're the lady that gave in the $10 check and, you know, made this fuss because it wasn't ever cashed. She said, we'd like to talk to you. They took me to Starbucks. We had a wonderful meeting, and they said, would you be interested in joining our board? I said, you know, that sounds perfect for me. And I said, but why is your group so small? I said, this library is wonderful. You're doing all these programs. You need to, you know, really talk it up and get people. Well, so they said, okay, will you be membership chairperson? Whoever was membership was stepping down. I forget who it was.
Nancy, who's here.
Oh,
And she was stepping down.
I am here.
oh, right. Hello, Nancy. Anyhow, so I took over the membership, and I was, I guess, a little aggressive, and I wouldn't let, I said, you come to these programs, you know, we have a friends group, you need to join it. And, you know, we got the membership from about 30 or 40 up to about 75. And then Hannah kept saying, well, push for 100. I said, are you kidding? 100? And then she said, push for 150. We kept going and going. Anyhow, you know, when I learned about the dedicated shelf, I said to my husband, we got to do this. And we dedicated the shelf to all the people that we met, to the wonderful programs that you have, and to the books that you offer to enlighten everybody's lives. And it's so important. This library is the heartbeat of this community, and it's so important. And I look at all of you and I think I'm preaching to the choir, but you know, we know how special and how special all the board members are in what they do for this community. So we continue to buy shelves every year. But anyhow, so thank you.
Okay, next we have, who's coming up, Rhonda?
Linda.
Linda?
For me, Linda?
Yeah,
Oh.
Linda. Okay, Linda, introduce yourself. I should have asked everyone to do that.
Let me
each
get my
time.
glasses first.
Okay.
in case I need them. I have glasses.
Linda is one of our 3 newest shelf donors that have done shelves in the last 2 weeks, one of whom just gave a shelf today. So it's very exciting. Okay, Linda, let's hope this works and let's go. Wait, you want to stop? I guess that was on the whole time. Okay, well, cancel and go.
Hi, I'm Linda Weissman, and I'm here representing myself and my husband, Jeff Weissman. And when we first moved to Hollywood, this building didn't exist. It was 1977. And when our children were small, we had to take them all the way over to the South Regional branch to have programs. And we're so proud of what's become of this building, and it's attributed to the Friends group and all the people who come here. So we decided to honor the library with our shelves. And I wrote a little poem to express my thoughts for the day. And it's our ode to the library. How blessed we are at this Sterling Road branch. Our library is a treasure chest. We can experience so much at our own pace and can strive to be our very best. Here, we took a Yale course in happiness, and this is what we learned. Happiness comes more from gratitude than achievement or money that is earned. Today's a day we come to honor our unsung heroes we appreciate, and every day we're growing fonder of that which makes the library great.
Recording in progress.
Great. That means, Marissa, this might not have.
Recording in progress.
Hi, everyone. My name's Rhonda Martin. I'm on the board of the Friends of the Sterling Road Library. And my parents, who are both passed away, were very strong in education and the library and in reading. And I know my mother just passed away recently, and I've been going through a lot of her books and journals, and now I know how much my parents struggled to save money to send my brother and myself to college, so we didn't have to pay our own tuition. So I'll always appreciate that. And when my mom passed away, I said, what can I do? I want to dedicate something in both my parents' honor. And then my neighbor Jeff, I know he had just dedicated a shelf, and I decided I want to dedicate a shelf to a lifetime platinum shelf, which I just did. And it's in my parents' honor. But I also wanted to thank the Friends. I'm going to cry now because when my mom died, they all came to my house. But I had Shiva, and thank you for being there. And thank you for everyone here.
Okay, great. Then I'm not going to stop, and it's all yours.
Hi, I'm Sherry Leibowitz. I bought a shelf about 5 years ago, and I've now upped it to I think it's a lifetime shelf at this point, but I have it in honor of my 2 boys. One of them is 13 and one of them is 15. I guess when I got it for them, I mean, they were young and we would use this library all the time. So my reason for buying the shelf is how much money I have saved from coming to the library. We would check out, 20 books every week, and I would just add it up in my head. They're voracious readers. And if I had to go and buy these books, at the bookstore, how much money I would be how much it would cost me, so even this $10 book or $15 book, $20 book, I would just add it up and they would, kids would read it one time and then they'd be bored of it and they would want another book. So I just, and I could always get books from a different library, so it's just so easy for me to do it. And my boys love reading. I love reading. I'm hoping to be more involved in the board this year. My oldest son, actually, for his bar mitzvah project, he had a goal to collect 1,800 books and donate it to public schools in Hollywood. So we live here in Hollywood. And he actually went over and beyond his goal and has donated about 2,500 books. At this point, he still is collecting them, and we have boxes at home as well. But I mean, as you know, a lot of the schools here are in need of the books, but the problem right now is sifting through the books to making sure that they're appropriate for the school. So that has become a different challenge for us of not only donating, but making sure that they're appropriate. So he's also been involved now with the book banning and understanding that this is now an issue that we're facing. So I love that, we've started here and we did like the sing-alongs and we, took advantage of so many different activities that the library has to offer. And just has continued, and he's now trying to serve on the teen board, but really taking advantage of the library every step of the way. And I really love that the library really has something for every age. So it is like from the little kids, and then you have the teen activities, and you have older and for book readings and book groups and all that other sort of stuff. And I really appreciate and love the library for having, for whatever age it is. And that's why I bought a shelf.
Please.
Recording in progress.
I guess that was not recorded.
Recording in progress.
Hello, everybody. I'm Judy Koch. I was listening to this last story because it's very familiar, but I dedicated a shelf. I might have been at the same Mother's Day program, but instead of grandchildren, I dedicated the shelf to my two daughters, Natalie and Stacy, who would not like me to say how old they are now, but they have children that range in age from 18 down to 8. So I guess I come from a long line of readers. My mother was a woman before her time. In the 40s, she was a high school teacher, and she became a guidance counselor and an assistant principal. I always wanted to be a teacher like Mom. I became an elementary school teacher, a reading specialist. So reading is in my blood. I have to say, I do read on my iPad now, but I miss the book. I miss touching the books. Besides the fact of reading, which is so wonderful, I just have to thank this library. I also moved here in 1978 before this library existed. And when my husband became ill, this library was a lifeline. I came and there were just wonderful programs and wonderful friends. And when he passed away, it really continued. Day programs, now the jazz programs. I used to love those jazz programs and the art programs, and it was absolutely wonderful. So that perhaps same Mother's Day, I dedicated the shelf, and in the last couple of years, I made it a permanent dedication. And I think it reads in honor of my daughters, Natalie and Stacy, who are great mothers and great readers. Thank you all very much.
Soon. Oh, I just want to do one, or you can come. It's a short one. Come, please.
I think it's recording. I'm not sure.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I'm Harriet Goldberg. We've been sponsors of the library for a while, but I never really partook of the activities here until recently, a few months ago, coming to some of the exercise programs, the Ageless Grace, the chair yoga. And I really didn't know about dedicating a shelf to the library. But when this came up, we wanted to dedicate a shelf in memory of our daughter, Shani Goldberg. Shani lived actually around the corner from the library. She had 4 children, and the kids came practically every day to the library. They used it for after study, for borrowing books. Shani passed away a few years ago at the age of 48. She had a brain tumor. And because the library was so important to her and to her children, and they lived just around the corner, I felt it was necessary when I heard about the dedications of a shelf that we would like to dedicate a shelf in her memory. Thank you.
At long last, it's my turn. I have one for myself and also for Fern, Fern Cantor is an integral part of our board. Oh, gosh. Oy vey. So Fern is ill, and she asked me to read you her comments, which are wonderful. If I can only find them. Okay, so this is from Fern Cantor. She says, it's just a small lucite plaque. It has my mom's name on it and a dedication from Sherm and me. Something so insignificant that is barely noticed by anyone roaming the bookshelves for a special read. There are many of these plaques among the shelves, testaments to parents, friends, teachers who instilled in us a love of reading. Yet each plaque holds a unique story, a personal thank you to an individual who made a life-changing difference in our daily existence by introducing us to the world of books and beyond. My mother always had a book in her hand or on the nightstand or on the kitchen table. She was one of the first members of the reserve list at the East Liberty branch of the Carnegie Library in Pittsburgh in the 1950s. As I recall, the library looked and smelled like a library should, kind of musty with a hint of cleaner. Overhead chandeliers that cast a warm glow on worn tables and oversized chairs, and always a respectable yet welcoming hush that let you know that talking was really not appreciated. I learned the card catalog at that library, and when I turned 8, I was allowed to have my own card. My dad's secondhand furniture was around the corner, and I was given permission to walk to the library by myself, but it was always better when I went with my mom. Well, she's gonna make me cry. That library opened up the world to me. From James Baldwin, Daphne du Maurier, to J.D. Salinger, to John Steinbeck, to complete sets of the Encyclopedia Britannica, to newspapers from as far away as New York City, to the Sunday Evening Post and the amazing Norman Rockwell. What greater gift could one ever receive? What greater tribute than to thank the special someone for, I can't do this.
You can, you're doing great.
For giving these treasures to you and helping to ensure they continue to enrich our lives for generations to come. If these types of memories seem familiar to you, then please join me in recognizing that someone who gave you this priceless gift and pass it on. You, to those that come after us, you will be glad you did. And that's from Fern. Okay, now for me. Those of you who know me well know my world revolves around me. So I have decided to take a little step to the side, and we all know how wonderful this library is, and how much we love our shelves. I dedicated a shelf in memory of my parents, Rose and Eddie Clabino from Wheeling, West Virginia. And I am fortunate enough that when my aunt died, my mother had 4 siblings, 3 sisters and a brother. And when my Aunt Dorothy died, her daughter, my cousin, sent me copies of all the letters that my mother had sent to her mother, because in those days, that's what they did. They wrote letters, believe it or not. And during World War II, 2 of my aunts were Army nurses, and they were in England and France. My father was in the Army overseas. My uncle was in the Navy. 2 of the brothers-in-law were overseas. Tom Brokaw called it the greatest generation. And to me, it was. They were all out there serving their country. So I'm fortunate enough to have all these letters that my mother wrote to my aunt. And I just want to take you back to D-Day, 1944. Some of you were children like I was. I was 6 months old. But you might have heard of it. You might remember your parents talking about it. So I just want to quickly read you 2 excerpts from letters that my mother sent to her aunt. One is on May the 30th, 1944. D-Day's on June 6th. So this is May 30th. She says, I haven't heard from Eddie for a week, and there's been no mail from May or Eva, those are her sisters, for about 2 weeks. Everyone I've talked to who has someone in England, they all say it's been a week or more since they've had mail. We think here at home that they've probably stopped our mail from England for a while. I have an awfully nervous feeling in my stomach that things may start popping any day now. We'll probably get dozens of letters tomorrow because she says, I'm not psychic like her sister. So then on June the 6th, which is D-Day, she writes, it looks as though it started, doesn't it? We've been up listening since 6:30 this morning to the radio. And then she goes on to say, let's see, where'd it go? Still no mail from May or Eva, but I've been getting old letters from Addie since Tuesday, D-Day. I don't have to tell you what went on here. You can guess. Mom was really sick and Pop and I didn't feel too good either. She and I were living with her parents at the time. We all feel better now, but I don't ever want to have that feeling again. Mom, where are you? Well, she says, I don't want to ever have that feeling again that I had, and I worry about all the boys that are over there. So I'm so lucky to have these letters from all of 1943 through D-Day. And it's a slice of life from what my mother was living in those days. And actually, once I was born, which was the end of 43, all the letters that she wrote to her family were mainly about me, as it should be. So these letters are fascinating to no one but me. And I'm happy to share them. Yeah, right. If you want to hear more, you know where I live.
Hey, who else would like to share a story about their shelf dedication? Anyone else? Yeah,
Can I just add something?
sure.
Is it recording or
I
not?
think so. Come on up.
Mhm. I think Hannah and a few other people here know that I was a professional fundraiser. In fact, I worked with her brother-in-law at the Jewish Federation of South Broward, the Federation of Miami, the Federation of Atlanta, 10 years with Hadassah. And we used to have something in the audience called shills.
Absolutely.
And I think Barbara Gillick is a shill because I'm going to dedicate another one of those shelves.
A shelf.
What was the one I did? The platinum
Really?
lifetime shelf to my grandchildren.
Oh.
Okay,
Say their names just in case.
I have brought with me to this library Yasmin, who's 9.5, Dahlia, who is now 8, and Lily, who will shortly be 5. They came with me I had hoped they would come, that my son would come today, but they're getting back from out of town. So, and they go to the library they live in Miami. I just took a banned book in Spanish for one of the 2 big girls because they are fluent in both Spanish and English. And the 2 little boys live out in Seattle. I have not brought them to the library yet here. Nadav and Ari, but everybody loves books. There are so many books at that house in Miami that I sometimes am worried that the whole shelf is going to fall over, and I'm always rearranging. When they come to me, my second bedroom at Grandview also has a whole big bookshelf of nothing but children's books, including some that were mine. So I said, oh, heck, what's the money for,
Thank you.
right?
That's great,
Yes.
amazing.
And they
Thank you so much. Nancy, do you want to? Okay, is there anyone else who would like to speak? Cynthia? Yes? While you're thinking about it, I'll speak for 1 minute about my shelf. I actually have 2 shelves here, both of which I didn't give. So it's like, but it's really an honor as someone who has 2 shelves dedicated to them. I can tell you that when I come to the library, one, it was given anonymously, so I can't thank the person. The other one was given by Howie and Carol Bienfeld and their family. And when I walk and I see the shelf that's dedicated to me, I do feel really honored. I mean, I feel, I understand like what your granddaughter is saying, like, this is my library. I have a shelf here, you know? So I think that what's amazing to me is it's not, the money is going to really perpetuate the kinds of things that I think the people in this room care about. You know, we do, again, our programs, our advocacy, and our willingness and to support our staff. And I think that it's a really special thing that everyone has engaged in here. Stories today were really beautiful, and I appreciate hearing them. I know that when I walk through the library now, I'll know a little more about these shelves, and I'll think of the faces that I see around the table now. So I thank you for sharing your stories. With that, I'm going to stop recording, and then if anyone would like to talk and not have it recorded, then
Recording in progress.
let me know. And was there anyone else? Go on.
A little late, I'm sorry, we celebrated